Dark chosen ones, 7 demonic powers you must never touch. There's a reason you've been drawn to this moment right here, right now. It's not by accident. It's not random. There's something in you that remembers what the world has been trained to forget: the truth about power. Real power, not the kind you see on stages or in bank accounts, but the unseen forces that pulse beneath reality itself. You've always felt that pull, haven't you? That quiet intensity in your chest when you're alone. That strange sensation in your dreams, like you're being tested or watched. That eerie synchronicity when you think of something dark and suddenly the world responds. These are not coincidences. These are echoes. And they happen more often to those of us who carry the mark of the chosen but walk the edges of the shadow. We are not like the others. We weren't born to just obey, conform, and die quietly. We were marked by something ancient, something that remembers the original fire. We have been called the dark chosen ones not because we are evil, but because we were forged in places most people are too afraid to even visit. We walk between realms. We see through masks. We don't run from the dark, we study it, master it, channel it. But even for us, there are lines that must never be crossed. There are powers so intoxicating, so seductive, so deceptively beautiful, that to touch them is to risk losing everything, including ourselves. These are not powers of light or love. These are the 7 demonic forces that whisper to those of us who burn brighter than the rest.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lesson.
And here's the truth no one tells you. The stronger your light, the more seductive the darkness becomes. The more spiritually gifted you are, the more dangerous your temptations become. And these powers don't come to the weak. No, they come to the ones with real potential. The ones who could become legends. The ones who could shift timelines. The ones who could awaken others. That's why we have to talk about this. Because I know you've felt some of these powers circling you. I know you've been tempted. I know the night gets louder when you're alone, and sometimes you've wondered what would happen if you just said yes to the voice. The first power you must never touch is the power of influence through manipulation. It starts innocently. You learn to read people. You sense their insecurities and fears. You realize how easy it is to bend others to your will, to subtly control outcomes without them ever knowing. You could lead, you could dominate, you could win, but there's a cost. Every time you manipulate someone, even for something small, you fracture your own soul. Because you're not just altering their path, you're distorting your own. Influence is a sacred gift. To use it for control is to enslave yourself to ego. And ego is the first gatekeeper to ruin. Ask yourself, would you rather be admired for a mask or respected for your truth? The second forbidden power is energetic drain and psychic feeding. You've noticed how some people feel lighter after being around you, and you feel heavier. You've noticed how you can enter a room and absorb emotions like a sponge. And you've realized that you can reverse that take from others, feed off their light, their attention, their admiration, even their pain. It gives you a rush, a high. But this is a trap. Because once you start feeding, you disconnect from your own source. You become a parasite. And no matter how powerful you seem, your energy becomes borrowed or hollow. Addictive. You stop being a sovereign creator and become a spiritual thief. And there's always a debt. Always. Are you willing to pay it? The third dark power is the seduction of identity crafting. This is one of the most dangerous because it hides behind glamour, charisma, even spirituality. You build a persona. You become a character. You craft a version of yourself that's magnetic, attractive, and perfectly curated. People love it. They follow it. They project onto it. And you start to believe it too. But deep down, you know it's not the real you. You've traded authenticity for attention. And no matter how many followers, lovers, or fans you gain, it never satisfies. Because the real you, the raw, untamed, divine you has been buried under costume after costume. Power that comes from a false self always collapses. The mask always cracks. And when it does, will you even remember who you were before? The fourth power is the rage of divine retribution. This one is subtle but lethal. It comes when you've been hurt, betrayed, humiliated. And suddenly you feel this wave of energy rise in you, not just anger, but something more. A knowing, a sense of righteous vengeance. You feel like a judge of karma, like you could destroy someone with a word, a thought, or an intention. And maybe you can. But should you? The moment you become the punisher, you lose your position as the observer. You step into the same vibration as the one who harmed you. And that ties you to them karmically, cycling you back into the very pain you were trying to escape. The most powerful beings know when to act and when to let the universe do the work. Can you trust that justice doesn't always need your hand? These powers don't arrive with red flags and warnings. They arrive clothed in beauty. They whisper in your own voice. They trick you into thinking they're part of your gift. And that's why they're so dangerous, because they almost feel like truth. But they're distortions, copies, and once you taste them, it's hard to let go. That's why awareness is your first weapon. You must know what you're dealing with before it wraps itself around your spirit. And so, I ask you something few are willing to answer honestly. If darkness offered you everything you ever wanted, but at the cost of your essence, would you take it? The forbidden temptations of the subconscious realm. There's a hidden layer beneath your conscious thoughts, a dreamlike realm where symbols, instincts, fears, and raw archetypes live. It's the realm that opens when you're half awake in the middle of the night, or when you're staring into the mirror and suddenly feel like the reflection isn't yours. This is the subconscious realm, and it doesn't obey logic. It speaks in sensation, in emotion, in sudden shifts of energy. And if you've been walking the path of the dark chosen ones, you've already visited this place more times than you could count. But here's what they don't tell you. Not everything that rises from this realm is meant to be touched. There are powers here, deep, seductive, ancient powers that promise you control, clarity, mastery. But they are traps hidden inside gifts. They are temptations disguised as tools. And even the most awakened can fall prey if they forget who they are. So let's go deeper. Let's talk about the next 3 demonic powers you must never make a home for, because once you let them in, they don't leave quietly. The 5th forbidden power is the power of thought form creation through obsession. You've probably already felt this one. It begins as focus, a strong desire, an idea you can't shake, an image that lives behind your eyes. You feed it with your thoughts, your emotions, your fears, and over time, it begins to take shape. It moves on its own. It starts to influence your thoughts, push your dreams, show up in your meditations. You've created a thought form, a psychic entity made from your own energy. And if it's born from obsession, fear, or control, it doesn't serve you. It uses you. You'll think it's your passion, your mission, your calling, but it's not. It's a hungry echo that feeds on your attention. And the more you give it, the more it drains you. Thought form creation is a real spiritual skill, but when it's done unconsciously, it becomes a prison. Ask yourself, are you still in control of your desires, or have they become entities that now control you? The sixth demonic power is the seduction of astral domination. This one is reserved for the rare few who can leave the body in dreams or through meditative states. If you've ever had sleep paralysis, lucid dreams, or spontaneous astral travel, you know what I'm talking about. In the astral realm, your thoughts shape reality instantly. But you can fly, shift form, visit distant worlds. And if you're not careful, you can begin to crave this world more than your physical one. You start to manipulate energies, enter others' dreams, pull information from people without their consent. You become a shadow walker, not to heal, but to spy, to control, to extract. And here's the danger. The more you dominate the astral plane, the more disconnected you become from your human path. You begin to feel like a god, but inside your soul becomes thin, stretched, fragmented. You lose your grounding, and when you finally return to your body, nothing feels real anymore. The astral realm is a sacred place, not a playground for ego. Are you traveling there to serve your soul, or to escape the work your soul came here to do? The seventh and final forbidden power is the addiction to spiritual identity. This is the most invisible of them all, and maybe the most dangerous. It's not about demons or rituals, it's about you. The you that starts to believe you're more awakened than others. The you that gets addicted to the role of the healer, the teacher, the chosen one. You wear the clothes, you speak the language, you post the messages. And somewhere along the way, you forget that the persona you built isn't you. It's a shadow, a beautiful, enlightened shadow that feeds on validation, superiority, the illusion of being spiritually above. This power doesn't scream. It whispers. It tells you you're right, that others are asleep, that you're different, special, untouchable. And slowly, it isolates you not from others, but from your real self. You lose your rawness, your honesty, your humanity, and without knowing it, you become the very thing you swore to fight, a false prophet of your own image. So ask yourself the question most awakened people are too afraid to ask. Is your spiritual identity a reflection of your soul, or a mask your ego wears to feel important? The subconscious realm is deep, mysterious, sacred, but it is not safe when entered without humility. These powers are here, they exist, and they will offer themselves to you dressed as destiny, as mastery, as enlightenment. But they are not here to evolve you. They are here to test you, to see if you remember who you were before the world, before the roles, before the power. That's the real initiation, not gaining more but remembering who you are without it all. So I ask you now, could you still walk your path with power, even if no one ever knew your name? The veil of madness, walking the edge without falling in. There is a moment in every awakened being's journey when the line between genius and insanity begins to blur. You feel it, don't you? That spiraling sensation when your thoughts no longer follow straight lines, when your dreams bleed into waking life, when symbols, patterns, and synchronicities start appearing so often that reality itself feels like a coded message. This is not imagination. This is not psychosis. This is the veil of madness. And the deeper you walk the path of the dark chosen one, the thinner that veil becomes. Because the price of touching true power is always the risk of losing the self. But here's the secret most spiritual teachers won't tell you. The veil of madness is not meant to destroy you. It's meant to refine you. It's the final test before mastery, the place where all illusions die. And it's terrifying because in this space, nothing is solid. Nothing is certain. What you thought was truth collapses. What you believed was you dissolves. And suddenly your mind becomes a labyrinth with no clear exit. This is where many fall. They mistake chaos for clarity, confusion for awakening. They chase every voice. They believe every vision. They start to think they're chosen to deliver messages, to save the world, to lead the lost. And without realizing it, they step over the edge and never return. The truth is, madness isn't loud at first. It starts as subtle ego inflation, or a sense of urgency, a need to speak, to post, to be heard. Then comes isolation. You start thinking no one understands you, that others are too asleep to get it. But then paranoia. You feel watched. You see signs everywhere, too many signs. You lose trust in people, in time, in your own senses. And suddenly, you're not channeling your higher self anymore. You're channeling your fear wearing the mask of divinity. But let me be clear, the madness isn't the enemy. It's a mirror. It's your own shadow self, dressed in your own voice, asking one question over and over again: do you know who you are without your powers? If the answer is no, then the madness becomes your master. But if the answer is yes, if you can sit in that chaos and still remember your center, then the madness becomes your liberation, because it burns away everything false. It strips you of every identity, every belief, every attachment. And what's left is the real you, wild, untamed, unshakable. This is why the most powerful spiritual beings often walk alone for a season. Not because they are above others, but because they are being recalibrated. They are learning the difference between vision and delusion, and between divine guidance and psychic noise, and between spiritual truth and spiritual performance. And if you are in that season right now, if you feel like you're losing your mind, like you're unraveling, breathe. You are not broken. You are being rewoven. But you must stay grounded. You must anchor. Because the deeper you go into the unseen, the more important your physical reality becomes. Eat real food. Feel your feet touch the earth. Speak to people who aren't spiritual. Do things that have nothing to do with awakening. Laugh. Move your body. Do not live entirely in the realm of symbols and energy, because that realm is infinite, and the infinite has no structure. Without grounding, you will drown in it. And this is where many dark chosen ones fall, not because they weren't strong, but because they forgot to balance. They thought power meant escape. They thought awakening meant leaving the body, the world, the mundane behind. But your true power is not in leaving this world, it's in mastering it while still being human. That's what makes you unstoppable. That's what makes you rare. Anyone can meditate on a mountain. But can you walk through a crowded, chaotic world and still hold your light without needing to prove it? So let me ask you something that only the brave can answer honestly. Are you awakening or are you escaping? Because one path leads to embodiment, the other to fragmentation. One path brings peace, The other brings noise dressed as messages, and only you can know the difference. The veil of madness is not the end of the path. It's the threshold. If you can walk through it grounded, clear, humble, you emerge with vision that cannot be faked, with wisdom that cannot be taught, with power that cannot be corrupted. But if you fall into it, if you lose yourself in the symbols, the voices, the need to be the one, then you become a warning to others instead of a guide. Choose wisely, touch the edge, but do not fall. The final seal, why power without soul is the ultimate curse. At the end of every spiritual path, there is a door that cannot be unlocked with force, talent, or knowledge. It opens only when the soul is ready, when the ego has burned to ash, when the masks have fallen, and when the seeker finally stops trying to become something and instead chooses to be. This door is what I call the final seal. It is not a portal to more power. It is an invitation back to self, and yet most never reach it. Or worse, they reach it, but turn away. Why? Because by the time you arrive at this final test, you've likely tasted many forms of power. You've bent energy, you've influenced minds, you've glimpsed the mechanics of reality behind the veil. You've walked through madness and returned with fire in your eyes. And here, standing before this door, something dark and seductive whispers from behind you. Why go through that door when you already have power? Why surrender when you could dominate? Why let go when holding on gives you control? This is the ultimate temptation, the seventh and most silent demonic power, power without soul. It's not an entity, it's not a force. It's a choice. The choice to keep your gifts but abandon your essence. The choice to manipulate spiritual truths for personal gain. The choice to use your voice, your light, your insights as currency for fame, control, or validation. It's subtle, because from the outside you'll still look awakened. You'll still speak the language. You'll still glow. But inside your soul will be quiet, not at peace but absent, because it knows it has been traded. And here's the deepest truth of all. True power never demands a sacrifice of soul. Only false power does, because false power is always hungry. It needs to be fed with attention, control, fear, or praise. It is never still. It is never enough. And the world is full of people, yes, even spiritual teachers, even healers who have chosen this path. They have power, yes, but there is something hollow in their presence, something performative, something off. And if you listen closely, you can hear it, that subtle emptiness, that absence of soul. But you don't have to be one of them. You didn't come here to impress. You came here to embody. You didn't come here to gather followers. You came here to remember yourself. You didn't come here to manipulate reality. You came to merge with it, to serve it, to co-create with it. And that means walking through the final seal, alone, naked, without your titles, your powers, your stories, or your spiritual resume. Just you, your breath, your truth, your bare, beating heart. And on the other side of that door, nothing spectacular, no fireworks, no audience, just stillness, clarity, peace, the kind of peace that nothing can shake, not fame, not failure, not love, not loss. Because it comes from alignment, from integrity, from the knowing that you didn't sell pieces of yourself for power, that you chose the soul every time. So I ask you now one final question, and I want you to sit with it. really sit with it. Not with your mind, with your being. If you had to give up everything you've built, your name, your image, your gifts, your spiritual insights, but in return, you could live fully aligned with your soul, would you do it? Because that's what the final seal demands. And only those who say yes truly, deeply, silently yes cross through it and never look back. Power is not the point. Mastery is not the goal. Wholeness is. And that, my friend, is the only power that can never be corrupted. The dark chosen one becomes divine not by avoiding the dark, but by refusing to forget the light